I just talked to him. I don't know. He probably says that, but I think it was. Got to get together. Wish him well. Christian, nice to see you. I'm great. Just go back and try a second. I have a small real estate company here. It would have been all set. Here's one of the heroes of the storm. Yeah, exactly. We didn't fight too much. Your house is one vote unanimous. Says a lot.
Mic check, everyone. Are y'all all set? Good. Mic check, good. Mr. Jolly, mic check. 1, 2. Good. All right. Mic check, Paul. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Good.
Okay, should we get started, everybody? Brian can't be here. So, let's get started. Folks, we're going to begin with Council President and Pastor Pridgeon to lead us in a prayer.
Today there are two scriptures I want to share with you. One says to mourn or to weep with those who weep. The other is that there is a time to talk and that there is a time to be silent. For this moment, before we have any words, we remember those who perished. We remember those who still mourn. And as a city, as a county and as a nation, we mourn with those who mourn. As we take this moment for a moment of silence. Amen.
Well, thank you, and it's great to be here today. I want to thank those who were able to join us today, of course, Pastor Pridgeon, our County Executive, Mark Polenkars, our Mayor, Byron Brown, our Common Council President, also Darius Pridgeon, wearing two hats. We have the NAACP President, Branch President, Mark Blue. Thank you so much for being here, Pastor. Great church, as does Pastor Pridgeon. And Chairman of Feedmore, Western New York, Lou Jacobs. Now, before I begin, I want to just take a brief moment to offer my prayers to Damar Hanlon, his family, and all of his brothers on the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo has had a heart-wrenching year. And the Bills served to so many as a sign of relief, brief moments of escape. And then Monday night's game added to the sadness of the community. We pray and hope for nothing more than Damar's full recovery. I don't stream much, but I pay $280 to get NFL Sunday, and I've watched every Buffalo Bills game, no matter what part of the country I'm in. And I was as shocked as anybody. We all saw what happened, and we followed it minute by minute and day by day. Our prayers for Damar join the chorus of prayers people have been offering ever since the holiday weekend storm began, of course, that claimed 40 Western New Yorkers, most of them here in the city of Buffalo. And I offer my deepest condolences to those who lost a loved one in the entire community as it continues to mourn. Now, Buffalo's an amazing city. You just love the place when you get to know it, as I have. And even in these horrible moments of darkness, there were moments of incredible kindness in this city of good neighbors, from families opening up their homes, shoveling driveways for strangers in the blizzard, to the public work crews who worked so round the clock. We have great organizations that have always looked out for Buffalonians, and Feedmore is one of those, Feedmore Western New York. They worked through the storm and did amazing work to ensure the most underserved in our communities are getting the food they need. So that's why Senator Gillibrand, and excuse Congressman Higgins, he had intended to be here. I spoke to him again last night, but he's down there. They're having some trouble, I've heard, in the House of Representatives. So he has to be there. But he is here with us in everything we say here today. And so Senator Gillibrand, myself, Congressman Higgins, secured more than $2 million in the just passed end-of-year spending bill for an expanded consolidated facility that Feedmore wants to build, and we may hear more from that from Mr. Jacobs later when he speaks. The new facility will allow Feedmore to bolster operations and productivity in delivering services to those who need it most. Now, in even the coldest of weather, the people of Buffalo find a way to warm your heart. So we're proud to give resources to Feedmore to expand and continue. Now begins the recovery process for the community, though, and we all want to ensure that 2023 is a better year for Buffalo. I want to particularly thank the hard work and strong effort of the public workers, local leaders who are here, and I want to thank County Executive Polenkars, Mayor Brown, Common Council President Pridgeon, whose dedication and relentless efforts are going to make it easier to get the federal aid that we need. Everyone has worked really diligently under duress, and now the federal government needs to step up and reimburse for the costs. So we are calling for three things now to make it happen. The federal help that we've always been able to give the city, the county, and all of Western New York. First, the feds must declare a disaster declaration ASAP. We don't need a bureaucracy. We don't need bean counters getting in the way. This was a unique storm. We don't need nitpickers stopping the aid. We want full federal aid ASAP with the disaster declaration. Second, we need the feds to cover as high a percentage as possible. The law requires 75%. We are going to push to get that as high as 100%. We've been able to do that in other major disasters, and this was certainly a major disaster. And third, Congressman Higgins, Senator Gillibrand, and I promised to scour the federal budget to find other places, aside from the disaster aid, to help Buffalo and Western New York recover as quickly as possible. I should add that Governor Hochul has been working nonstop with my office, Senator Gillibrand's, and Congressman Higgins. And while we secured the emergency declaration, that's just a little bit, that's only $5 million, and that is not as expansive. To get through the peak of the storm, we now need the major disaster declaration that will reimburse for all the work and cover the costs of damage. They've gone all out, and it's the taxpayers of the city of Buffalo, the county of Erie, who have paid the full cost. We have always had in our country, when one area suffers a disaster, the whole country comes together and helps fund the costs of dealing with that disaster. And taxpayers here in Western New York have paid for floods in the Mississippi Valley and fires in the far west. And now we have real trouble, and we need the same help to come back, okay? And we don't want anything standing in the way. Right now, as we speak, workers in Western New York are tallying the damage. We need all hands on deck from the feds to get Buffalo and Western New York back to not just where it was, but stronger than before. And once the damage assessment is complete, there should be no delay from FEMA in swiftly turning around this money to get the federal dollars flowing to both New York State and to the communities here in Western New York that shelled out so much money and had to, and did it as quickly as they could. Typically, the minimum needed to activate a major disaster area is $36.5 million in New York State. We expect to hit that threshold easily, but we don't want, again, the bean counters to say, oh, what about this, what about that, what about this? We need the money now, ASAP. As soon as they have to submit, the state has to compile, they're doing that right now, the $36 million. And then the federal government must also maximize the aid that it gives to Buffalo so that it can recover. And that means increasing the federal cost share to give this community the additional support it needs. That was done. I was able to get that done for Superstorm Sandy in New York City. And I'm going to put every ounce of muscle, and now I'm the majority leader, I wasn't then, to make sure we get that same 100% here, in Western New York. And finally, there are other measures. There are other places where the federal government can help, in housing aid, in food aid, in other types of aid that don't come just as part of the disaster declaration. And we are in the process of scouring the federal budget for those as well. These are only the first steps, but they're essential to getting us on the road to recovery. This storm has shown how difficult the new weather conditions can be. I mean, we're used to a lot of snow here in Western New York, but the way it came was different than in the past. And we have to be alert, and the federal government has to step up to its responsibility. We're working hand in hand to help Buffalo build back stronger. As I said, you get to know this place, you love it. And the people are wonderful. And all I think that all they are asking is a little help so that they can build back the road to recovery, and that's what we're going to do. So with that, let me turn it over to my friend and colleague and partner in the United States Senate, Senator Gillibrand.
Well, thank you to Senator Schumer, and I want to recognize all the dignitaries with us, our council president, our head Lou Jacobs, county executive Mark Hollenkars, Mayor Brown, Reverend Mark Blue, a former rep Chris Jacobs is here, as well as council member Mitch Nowakowski. Everyone standing here recognizes this has been a horrible few weeks for Buffalo. Not only was this a storm of the century, but so many families were harmed and so many people lost their lives. There's enormous amounts of damage that needs to be rebuilt. Businesses need to be rebuilt, communities need to be rebuilt. And that's why Senator Schumer and I are here today, because Senator Schumer and I are going to get the resources so your great local and county leaders can get this very hard work done. Not only have we experienced 4-foot snow storm, but we've also seen how an emergency response system can get crippled so quickly because of whiteout conditions. We saw how snow removal was so difficult because the snow was so heavy and so deep that we needed very heavy equipment to actually remove snow so the plows could do their jobs. So we saw really something extraordinary that has not been seen really ever. And so that, on top of all the challenges that COVID-19 has brought to this community, on top of all the other challenges we experienced in 2022, I'm glad 2022 is in the rearview mirror and we have 2023 right ahead of us. This will be a year for rebuilding. It'll be a year for gathering our best and brightest around us to do what's necessary to move this city and this community forward. I'm grateful that we're here at Feed More New York. Feed More is one of the state-of-the-art feeding centers and food banks in all of Western New York, but all across the country. And we're going to talk about resources that we just got for Feed More to continue to do the work they're doing. I'm amazed by the work and the courage and generosity of the members of the Feed More Western New York have shown throughout this difficult time. They've been working around the clock to deliver the desperately needed aid and life-saving necessities during and after the storm. And now, as we work to recover and rebuild, we want to make sure that they have the resources they need. As Senator Schumer said perfectly, we will be sending a letter urging President Biden to swiftly consider and authorize a major disaster declaration should Governor Hochul ask for one. We suspect, as Senator Schumer said, that she will reach those numbers and she will be able to aggressively assert for that designation. We're also asking for an increase in the cost sharing, which, as Senator Schumer said, is essential. Our local governments are already pushed to the limit. They've already spent all the resources they have. They cannot match funds as if it was a time different than it is now. They've literally expended everything they have. So getting that cost sharing changed, I think, is really important. And one of the things that Senator Schumer and I accomplished in this year's funding bill is we did get $2 million more for Feed More Western New York, which allows them to expand the great work that they're doing and allow them to continue to help more people. So I just want to thank the people who did everything they could to rescue so many people, the thousands and thousands of people whose lives were saved by the brave efforts of our first responders and our local governments working throughout night and day throughout the storm. And I want to thank all those who were able to protect their loved ones and help others.
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand. Our sheriff is here. Sheriff Garcia, thank you for being here. And Councilman Nowakowski, I believe this is your district. Thank you for being here as well, Council. And now we're going to hear from County Executive Mark Poloncarz.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you, of course, Senator Gillibrand, for both being here today and continuing to fight for our community in its time of need. I want to thank the wonderful people at Feed More Western New York. Feed More Western New York is a partner with Erie County in so many services, including often the Meals and Wheels services, the congregate dining program for our seniors, and they're the ones that are preparing the blizzard boxes that can be prepared and provided to those in need in our community before the storm hits, so they have actual food at the ready in case they do get trapped in their homes like we saw these last few days. If this was not a major disaster, I don't know what is. It's as simple as that. When we think about the storms that we've had, including just a month ago, and the 7 feet of snow that fell in Orchard Park, even though that was bad, nothing compared to what this community went through. Unfortunately, I had to announce yesterday 2 more deaths in Erie County, so we were up to 41 deaths attributable to the storm. And when you include the death in Niagara County, there are 42 people from our community who've lost their life as a result of this horrible blizzard. And you think back as to everything that we've had to deal with and be challenged over the last year. I agree with the senators. I'm very happy that 2022 was over with, but unfortunately it did not start very well for our community, as we saw on Monday night with the horrible, horrible event that's impacted Damar Hamlin's life and impacted our entire community. We know what the Buffalo Bills mean to this community, and at that moment, even football didn't matter. All that mattered was saving that young man's life. So, on behalf of the people of Erie County, I want to thank the senators for fighting for us. Erie County has expended already $12 million associated with the storm. We have other estimates that think we'll take it up to $14 million because we invested it on the ground with individuals and companies like Union Concrete, and Gary Hill from Union Concrete is here, so they could bring contractors in to remove the snow, to clean the streets all across Erie County, including in the city of Buffalo. We expect that number to go up. A good example of that is Times Beach. Times Beach is a perfect example of regionalization. It's owned by the city of Buffalo and it's maintained by Erie County. If you go down to Times Beach, it looks like a hurricane hit it because a hurricane did hit it. The equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds went through Times Beach, and it has suffered significant damage that we even haven't been able to estimate yet, damage that will probably be in the millions just to restore Times Beach. So to Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Higgins, who couldn't be here today, I want to thank you on behalf of the people of Erie County for fighting for us. There will be no doubt that we reach that dollar figure when all is said and done, when you add in the costs from New York State, Erie County, all the municipalities. But we cannot, unfortunately, eliminate the ultimate cost from the storm, which were the 41 individuals in Erie County and the one in Niagara County who died as a result of this horrible blizzard. Dollars can help our bottom line, but they can't bring back the loved ones that have been lost. So on behalf of the people of Erie County, once again, I offer my deepest condolences to all who lost a loved one from this terrible blizzard, and let us all hope that for the rest of 2023, better days are ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Brown.
I want to thank Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand for being here and for their work with Congressman Higgins to fight for more federal aid for Buffalo and Western New York. They are here after a once-in-a-generation storm, a storm that deeply impacted the city of Buffalo and its people with extreme blizzard conditions for days. I want to express my condolences as well to all of those families that lost a loved one. I also want to say that Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand being here is a continuation of their outreach during the storm. We heard from them directly during the storm. They offered support and assistance during the storm, and I want to thank them for their concern and for their fighting for this community. The city of Buffalo has gone through a lot of traumas in 2022 and starting out in 2023. We will need significant federal assistance to recover and to rebuild, and Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, they know that, they understand that. One of the things that I have been asking for quite some time, requesting federal funds and state funds, is to build a state-of-the-art comprehensive public works campus. I am hoping with this additional assistance that will come, and I'm saying that will come because Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand have been very effective in helping to deliver federal resources, not only to this community, but to communities all across the country. We only need to look at the infrastructure funding. We only need to look at the stimulus funding to document how effective they have been in delivering resources. This is a critical time for our community. It is a time when additional resources are needed Our senators know that and understand that, and that is why they are here. Again, I want to thank Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Higgins, who couldn't be here, and I want to thank retired Congressman Chris Jacobs for being here as well. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to have Lou Jacobs, who's a board member and very active in Feedmore, Western New York, was actively involved with my office in pushing to get the funds that we were able to get. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you. I'm Lou Jacobs, CEO at Delaware North. I proudly serve on the board of directors of Feedmore, Western New York, and I'm honored to join you today. I also want to acknowledge all of Feedmore, Western New York's board members and community ambassador council members who are here to show support. On behalf of Delaware North and the Western New York business community, I want to start by thanking our elected leaders, first responders, medical professionals, and every member of the Western New York community who stepped up to assist with last week's crippling blizzard. On behalf of Feedmore's board and our president and CEO, Tara Ellis, I want to give thanks to Majority Leader Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and Chris Jacobs. Your tireless efforts to ensure $2 million in federal funding will help Feedmore build critical infrastructure to continue to meet the needs of our community, and the reality is those needs are more severe than ever. We saw this in the wake of the racially motivated mass shooting that killed 10 community members on May 14th. And now we are reminded again in the aftermath of a blizzard that took the lives of more than 40 Western New Yorkers. These tragedies have exacerbated the longstanding issue of food insecurity in our community. In times of emergency, Feedmore is there to provide life-saving food and support, but the recent spike in demand for services has led to a situation where its facilities are stretched far beyond their capacity. Feedmore is currently renting or borrowing nearly 30,000 square feet of additional space to continue operations and meet the growing need for food assistance. Feedmore has always stepped up to help West New York's most vulnerable neighbors through a vast network of hunger relief efforts, including emergency feeding, home delivery services, workforce development, and ensuring our region's food pantries are consistently stocked. Delaware North committed $100,000 to bolster the region's blizzard recovery efforts, and we've earmarked at least half of those funds to directly support Feedmore's emergency response services. Our company is joined by many of Buffalo's great organizations, like M&T Bank and the Buffalo Bills and Sabres, in supporting both Feedmore and the Western New York community. I'm so proud to be part of a business community who rallies to meet the needs of our Western New York neighbors. Once again, our sincerest thanks to our elected officials who always rise to the occasion to support the people of Western New York, and most especially our most vulnerable citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Reverend Mark Blue, who is the head of the Western New York NAACP. Thank you, Pastor.
Again, we would like to thank Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Higgins, and also Chris Jacobs for the work that they've been doing in our communities, getting us the needed resources to help us do the things that we need to do. I am a pastor of Second Baptist Church in Lackawanna, and we have a food pantry. We are partners with Feedmore. Nationally, the average increase has been roughly 7 to 11% of individuals coming to receive food. In Lackawanna, that is 43%. A significant amount of individuals who are first-time food pantry recipients, because of the devastation of COVID, because of the devastation of the natural things that have been going on in our communities. Feedmore has been a staple in our community. And I want to thank you for the needed resources to help provide more opportunity for Feedmore to grow and for people to be served. One of the things that I look at, especially as the president of the NAACP, is that hunger doesn't have a color. It affects us all, every class of individual, economically, socially, and if we don't get a handle on this, we're going to have more than just the 43 deaths that have occurred during the storm. We're facing a tragic storm of food insecurity, and it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure we do all we can to overcome that particular storm. I've seen a hungry child. I've seen a family that could not make it. And that's why Feed More is here, to help fill in the gap. No one wants to come to a food pantry because they feel it's degrading, they feel it's demoralizing, but we're here to help. And one of the things that I've known about Feed More and that we've also encouraged in the area of servitude that we have in Lackawanna is that we're all one big family. So it's very important that we build upon the successes of great opportunities and great organizations as Feed More to make sure that we can eradicate food insecurity. So again, I want to thank our senators, thank our congressmen, thank each and every one of you. Also, let me say this, I want to thank County Executive Mark Poloncarz and Mayor Byron Brown. They have been stellar in this fight for this last storm that we've had. Hopefully, we'll never have to face another one, but I want to thank them for their effort and for their fortitude in making sure that our communities come out of this storm. So with that, I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thanks for the good work you do in Lackawanna as well. And just look, when a child is hungry, it pains all of us. When a child is hungry, they can't learn at school. They can't do so many other things. Hunger is fundamental. We've worked very hard to increase the SNAP budget and increase the pantry budget. And just in this recent bill that passed, we were able to make sure under Senator Stabenow's leadership that children will be fed breakfast and school lunches in the summer when they're not in school and not getting the kind of food they need. So it's been a passion of ours for a while. We'll take questions on this subject first.
How essential is this funding for people? I know you talked about it, but if they don't get it quickly, what could it do to an organization?
Well, there's other kinds of funding sources we're working with for Feed More, but this $2 million is helping them build a new facility. And Lou, do you or Kat or somebody, Kat, why don't you come up?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. So Feed More Western New York has been working towards unification of our two facilities since the Food Bank of Western New York and Meals on Wheels for Western New York merged. As you heard from our board member Lou Jacobs, we are currently renting and borrowing over 30,000 square feet of storage. So we are over capacity in terms of our mission, and we do need continued support in order to continue to feed those in need. We know that there are more than about 1 in 8 people who are food insecure here in our 4 counties that we serve.
Yeah, just to clarify, there's all kinds of federal funding to help them get the food and supply the food. This $2 million is for the new facility, which allows them to do that more effectively. Okay? Other questions on this subject?
Is it only a monetary threshold that needs to be met, or is there anything that distinguishes the fact that it's a blizzard versus a hurricane versus?
No, we qualify, blizzards qualify, hurricanes qualify, floods qualify. You got to reach the 36.5 threshold. Now that's statewide. And there was damage in New York City. There was damage in the Hudson Valley. There was damage in other places. We're confident we will reach it, but you have to submit very detailed analysis, and sometimes the bureaucrats take too long. So one of our purposes here, we got the emergency declaration quickly. Once the governor has to submit this because it's statewide. Localities submit as well. And once we get that, we want the feds to get the money here ASAP. Well, let him go first since he didn't have a chance.
We did hear the $5 million, when we use these designations, that the president signed that $5 million.
Correct. Yes, and that allows us to open the door to count, to submit for the 36.5 million, which is a major, it's far broader. It's not only more money, but it covers more things.
As the county executive referred to, back in November, we also had that massive storm.
Right.
Would these be folded in together or held separately?
The head of FEMA is actually somebody from New York. She was head of the emergency services in New York City, and I've worked with her closely. we're going to do everything we can to get as much money as we can. I don't know if they'll allow folding in, but if that'll help us there, we may not need it. I think we'll reach the 36.5 without it, but we're going to fight for the money for both storms. Yes.
What's happening right now in Congress going to delay all this? Because they can't even swear
No.
in their own
Okay.
members right
In the omnibus budget that we passed in December, I think I may have the number a little bit wrong, but I may not. I think we got $49 billion more for the whole FEMA package. There's plenty of money there for what we need here in Western New York. We just need we need to submit, and then we need the federal government to open the door and let the money flow out quickly. But the money is there.
It does not require congressional action.
Right.
Are there restrictions too, like, I mean, obviously the American Rescue Act and what we saw with COVID relief, there were certain restrictions on what that.
There's restrictions here, but, you know, I mean, I've been doing this since I became senator in 1998, for floods, we had hurricanes, Sandy, and for all the storms we've had, both snow and rain, flooding throughout. And the good news is they're fairly flexible, and we try to work with them on that flexibility.
When I raise that point, you know, I know.
But it's not ARP funding, it's different stuff, yeah.
When I raise that point, I know the mayor has talked, and we've heard about fire trucks.
By the way, he had a 11:45 CNN interview, yeah.
But, yeah, we saw fire trucks down on the way here.
Yeah, that would be covered by this.
Photojournalists not working this, and there's fire hydrants that are with.
All of that would be covered by the FEMA Major Disaster Declaration. Yes. FEMA money does not go for that specifics. It goes for property damage and other things like that. But we could look into things like that, which we did after 9/11 and after Superstorm Sandy.
One of our communities here in the city of Buffalo took a major hit due to the storm in Broadway district.
Yep, Fillmore.
The Aldi supermarket. How do you feel that gap being
There is money, there is, part of FEMA will be the Small Business SBA, Small Business Administration Disaster Declaration, which would go to things like that. Okay? Last one. Yeah, go ahead.
You talk about the fact you're getting pressure. Can we expect, though, possibly to see some fatigue, if you will? Is that
Some
what we're
fatigue?
Fatigue. They're going to say, is Western New York, you keep coming back.
No.
You had the storm in November.
We will not let that happen. California's come back many more times. They've had many more fires.
And you're going to see that.
Yes, as majority leader, my job is to do everything I can for New York, and so far, so good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I always respect you. Like you making that statement. I'm not clear because your career is not anything, but you got
Chris, thanks for coming. You're lucky you're not there.
Thank you, Senator. Thanks for having us. Really, so important.